Welcome to the American Heart Association's National Heart Walk Coach Kickoff. I'm Michael Privet, and I'm honored to be your host for today. I'm joining you from my home base in Atlanta to kick off our 2022 Heart Walk experience for all of our amazing coaches and lead us into February, which is National Heart Month, and of course, Wear Red Day on February 4th. Heart Month is our time to raise awareness about heart disease and to take charge of our health. This year, the American Heart Association wants you to reclaim your rhythm and take back control of your physical health and mental well-being. You know, music is the universal language that connects us. It brings the good vibes, the movement, the flow. So this Heart Month, we want you, your family, friends, and coworkers to get in the groove with habits to be healthier. Heart Month could not be a better time to invite everyone to join your team and get moving. And that's why you are here today. Together, you will raise awareness, help your teams get healthier, and save lives through the critical funds you raise. We want to hear from you today, so take a moment now to drop in the chat what city you're joining us from and what you love about the Heart Walk. Our time together is intended to energize your efforts as you rally your coworkers, friends, and family to support all those affected by heart disease and stroke. Today, you'll hear the secret sauce from your peers that led to their successful campaigns. And in addition to that, you'll hear from your peers on what you're getting. You're also getting a front row seat to our Heart Walk fashion show, highlighting some of the 2022 hero gear available in the Heart Walk Reward Center to you, and of course, to all of your walkers, somewhat like I'm wearing right now. And we will be unveiling new coach gear exclusively for you when your team collectively hits milestones. Heart Walk events happen nearly every month of the year. Our spring campaigns like Charleston, South Carolina start in February, with the season ending in June, where our walks happen in Birmingham, Alabama. The one thing all of our campaigns have in common is you, our great volunteers. We would not be able to do the work we do without you and without your leadership commitment. Thank you. But now it is time to get this party started. Before we hear from our guest, it's time to hit the runway with the first segment of our National Heart Walk Hero Gear fashion show. Everything you're going to see in today's show is part of our 2022 Heart Walk Hero Gear collection, because every hero needs some cool gear. Kicking off our fashion show will be Lori, a survivor and heart warrior from the Memphis area. We then head over to St. Louis to hear from Heart Walk coach and top walker Joyce. From Maine, we have a survivor, Henry, a very active second grader. His brother Rocco, who is a high school senior, and mom Lena. Followed by our second family of models out of the Twin Cities with Kinsey, a congenital heart defect survivor and heart hero who is joined by her crew, including dad Matt, mom Jessica, and her boyfriend Reed. Get ready for some fierce fashion on the runway. Let's roll it.
Hey, I'm Lori, and I am a proud heart survivor. I'm so excited to represent the Heart Walk, and I proudly wear this apparel and what it means to me.
So good. Our models all looked great in their Heart Walk gear, but their smiles and energy certainly stole the spotlight. Thank you to all of our models. You were fabulous. Your fundraising not only makes you a heart hero, it also earns you points in your personal rewards center that you and your team members can redeem for your very own Heart Walk Hero gear. Head to your Heart Walk headquarters, which opens up to you after you register for your local Heart Walk, and click on the Rewards Center button at the top. And if you're in the app, it's even easier. Just click on the gear icon at the top, and you'll find a link to the Reward Center at the top of your settings list. Take a look around, see what's available to you and all of your registered walkers as you achieve fundraising milestones. The Reward Center is our way of saying thanks, and it's a great way for you to model your support for heart and brain health all year long as advocates for the American Heart Association. Now, to start our coach spotlights, we're headed to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to hear from Sheila Whitfield, one of our most passionate community team coaches. Sheila is here not only to talk about her team's fundraising success, but also how this allows her to share her son Daniel's story. Sheila, welcome. Glad to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, good to have you here. Sheila, you have been a tremendous volunteer and champion of our cause for nearly 7 years. Will you share with us your why?
Well, if you've been around Heart Walk for long, the very first thing you ever do is share your why. And the Heart Walk for us gives us time to talk about our son Daniel, whose life was cut short at the age of 26 from complications of cardiomyopathy. And as you may know, it was a shock to our family. He was doing so well, and then had a stint in the hospital, got to come home for a few weeks, and then just passed unexpectedly. So for our family, we needed to find something to do in a positive way that we could channel that heavy grief we were suffering. And my daughter and I immediately thought, it's got to be American Heart Association. We've got to get the word out. We've got to raise awareness. We need people to hear our son's story. He was a dancer, a competitive dancer his whole life. He was strong. He was in great shape, and he still suffered heart disease. We just needed to have a purpose. And American Heart Association and the Heart Walk has been our outlet. It's our son. The money we raise each year has become our son's legacy. And it's just been a great place for us to be able to share about him every year. We just don't want people to forget that he lived.
Well, Sheila, you've done some remarkable things to honor Daniel's legacy. Your team raises an average of over $20,000 every year, and to date, that collectively has totaled almost $125,000, a remarkable achievement. And I thank you from all of us at the Heart Association. How do you do it?
Well, we've got some good tricks. One of my favorite is we do a karaoke night. If you find a little pub somewhere, we've just learned that all you have to do is ask. People want to be on this journey with us. Our favorite thing is karaoke night, and we invite friends from every area of our life. My daughter's a teacher. I retired from a public school. Our family is around, so we invite our family, our friends, friends of friends, anyone that wants to show up. And it's not a closed event, so the pub will just have random people in there. One of my favorite things is the first karaoke night we had friends from high school were there, and there was this big group sitting in an area, and she's like, who are those people? Were they just in the bar tonight, or do you know them? And I said, oh, that's our church choir. And she kind of giggled, and she goes, no, really, like, who are they? And I said, really, that's my church choir. So our church choir comes, they have a great time. We've got some amazing talent. So that's one of our fun things we do. One of my tricks, I've got 3 adorable grandchildren, and everyone wants to donate to those precious babies. So they actually sign up to walk in the Heart Walk. They do videos. My little grandson is the only one you can see in our picture. He had just turned a little over a year old when my son passed away. So my son Daniel got the joy of being an uncle, which he dearly loved. And so James is the only grandchild that remembers Daniel. And he has been a top walker since he was a year old. He will do, social media is our friend during the Heart Walk. We post, we share stories. My little grandson makes his own videos, and our friends and family, they wait until he posts so that they can donate to him because he's always so cute. My little granddaughter joined in the fun last year. She was 3 years old last year, so my 3 and 7-year-old grandchildren were both top walkers. Again, anyone can do it. The main thing is share your story and ask. I mean, all people can do is say no. And I've gotten a tough skin, but I've also learned that people want to be asked. They want to be on this journey with us.
Such good advice, a remarkable thing. I know so many of your team members have hit that magical $1,000 plus threshold and been top walkers. Pretty amazing that your 2 grandkids did that at such a young age. That's really impressive. So Sheila, thank you for sharing your story, for sharing Daniel's story, for your dedicated team. You've inspired so many today with your story, and we all, I think, now feel like we're part of Daniel's legacy, which is a pretty special thing. So thank you. Good to see you today. It's time for round 2 of the Hero Gear Fashion Show. We'll start with 2 top company leaders from Dallas, Nana with AT&T Global Headquarters and Kelsey with Thomson Reuters. Then we head to the Big Apple to spotlight Andrew, a congenital heart defect survivor who weathered open heart surgery as a college student. Rounding out the group is our first 4-legged model. You're not going to want to miss this. Diamond, who is a heart disease survivor. Yes, that's right. This fur baby survivor chases squirrels in Idaho and is walking in our show today with Mom Dara and Dad Nick.
Hi, I'm Nana May.
Well done. Thank you to all of our models. This last segment definitely deserved 2 paws up. What a group. You can join our models in your own Heart Hero gear as your fundraising success grows. The beat goes on with each of you. So with that, we're moving on to California for our next speaker, Janice Miller from Union Bank. She has participated in Heart Walk about 6 years, and last year, while telling her story at a kickoff meeting, she was tapped on the shoulder to be a coach for the first time. Janice, welcome. Good to have you with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Could you share a little bit with us about why you've been involved with the Heart Walk and what made you say yes to being a coach this year?
Well, I am involved with the Heart Walk because of my brave little 6-year-old Leilani. She was born with a heart defect called Epstein's anomaly. And before her 2nd birthday, she had open heart surgery. Since her surgery, she's been thriving. Recently, she's been diagnosed with an abnormal fast heart rate. So now she's on meds. So we'll keep an eye on that. But being a coach is something that I feel that I should be doing, to raise money, raise awareness for all the great work that our doctors and nurse that they have done, the science and the research for all the heart disease. So that's why I want to be a coach.
Well, Leilani is beautiful, and what a powerful story to be sharing. I'm so glad she's doing so well, and we are lucky to have you as a volunteer for the Heart Association. When you were tapped to do this for the first time, what was your reaction? How were you approached about being a new coach?
Well, as you just mentioned, we had a kickoff meeting at my work. And after we all shared our story, one of the coaches tapped on my shoulder and said, "Hey, we absolutely love your story. It touches our hearts." I kind of cried listening to you. So I kind of felt like it was so meaningful to them and how powerful it was. I felt like it was a story worth sharing to many more.
Yeah. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And so I imagine that you had to sort of rallying everyone to get involved. I know you're part of of an employee resource group, and you reached out to them to engage, right?
Yeah, so I'm part of the employee resource group, and since this, has a special place in my heart, it was only natural that I would be the coach to lead this. And through there, I set personal goals. I would say, I'm a very competitive person. So at our work, we had different goals to hit. And for me, I wanted to reach that goal plus hit some personal goals that I had.
Yeah, I heard that you set a personal fundraising goal of $5,000, which is it's a bold goal, and it's great to put it out there, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Your team ended up collectively raising $6,700, and you raised $5,000 of it. So you did it, and you recruited 34 team members who did their part to raise the other $1,700. How did you ask people to join your team? How did you target, and how did you get that yes that you wanted out of everybody you asked?
Well, I've been with my firm for about 11 and a half years now. And then, thinking Leilani's 6, a lot of my colleagues, they've been, on that journey with me as I went through all the moments in the past 6 years. So I definitely, I would say, meeting with the AHA coaches and getting like that support you need to like keep on going was really helpful. Because sometimes as a coach, you wonder, like, are you pushing too hard? You're not pushing enough. So just having the support from the American Heart Association was really important for me, just to have those check-in calls. I think that the key trick that I found that was really great for me was that I would, on my page, I would start with, say, like a $250 goal. And then for that day, I reached out to 5 colleagues that I worked really closely, like say like for 11 years, and just wait a day And then I would notice they would, donate. And then the next day I would up my goal to 500 and then reach out to another set of like 5 people. And I did that every day. And I think, and overwhelmingly, I was very surprised, like the amount of money my colleagues donated. I don't know if it was one of those things like, oh, she's only like 200 short from her goal. Let me just, donate $100. But I thought that was like the trick that worked for me. I think also too, I created a 1-pager. At my firm, we're really big on 1-pagers and PowerPoint. And I had like 6 boxes on there and just to really make it very easy for them, right? Like one box was to say, hey, this is Leilani's story. Another box is like, what are the benefits of being part of the Heart Walk? Another box would say, well, click here if you want to join my team and you just want to be a walker, or click here to, if you want to donate. And by the way, don't forget to log in your volunteer hours. And then lastly, like, hey, don't forget, like whatever you donate, our company matches 100% of that donation. So it was all right there for them.
Wow.
It just made it very easy.
That's amazing. Well, then no wonder success followed. What really, really well done. What a successful first year as a coach. You were so intentional and broke it down for yourself and your team in these small steps. What is the advice that you would share with other coaches on today's call and how they can be successful like you were?
I would say be passionate. I believe that people in general want to help, especially your friends and family. So when you share your passion and why this is so important to you, they want to help the way that they can, right? Either by just being a walker or donating, or even better, both, right? And if it's neither, that's okay, because just know that you've raised awareness. And lastly, just make it simple and just send them your American Heart Association page link and go from there.
You make it sound easy. I'm sure it was not. Well done. And we'll be thinking about Leilani and you both. Janice, we appreciate you. Thank you for being a part of our call today.
Thank you.
You know what they say, good advice is rarer than ruby. So thank you to all of our coaches who participated from around the country and the gym that you all have been to the Heart Walk this year. I also want to share with you that I too was a coach last year for our department. I want to share with you a detail that really stood out to me. Walkers who personalize their page, so add a photo, say why you're walking, launch a Facebook fundraiser, and utilize the Heart Walk apps, raise 4 times more than other walkers. That's 4 times more than the average. So you heard from both Sheila and Janice how important sharing their story was to their success. And we have the tools to help each of you share your why. Well, now I am excited to share with you that we have new for 2022 exclusive coach gear that's just for you, our coaches. When your team collectively hits milestones for $1,000, $2,500, and $5,000. So in addition to the awesome individual rewards you saw earlier for all walkers, you have the chance to earn these items too as a thank you for your leadership and driving your team's success. And a reminder that all coaches registered at least 12 weeks prior to your local event date will also receive the official coach jersey to wear as you recruit your team. And to show us what some of this new 2022 coach gear looks like is Janice. We just heard how successful she was this last year, and now we get to see her strut her stuff. Go for it, Janice. Nicely done, Janice. Let's hear it in the comments. Who loves our new coach gear? We can't wait to see you wearing this new gear all year long. Now we're going to Baltimore, where we are being joined by John Holshoe. While this program has certainly been full of inspiration, John's support for the Heart Walk is extra meaningful this season. And he's here with us today to share why. John, thank you for joining our program today.
Well, Michael, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
My background, my wife Dawn and I are parents to three boys. My oldest, Jackson, is a senior. Alex is a sophomore, and Bennett is a fourth grader. My older two boys run cross country, and let's just say I'm the type of parent that is at meets. I'm very vocal, not only towards my boys, but towards anyone on the team, cheering them on and giving them that little encouragement when I think necessary. So
I bet you stay busy. That's a big crew to keep moving around.
it's great. And so before this last season, we had a pasta party before the first meet, and this is where I met Joe and Joey Greco. Joey was an incoming freshman, and it was a good way to get the team together. Now, I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm 6'7". Consider myself in fairly good shape. But Joe walked in the room, and he's easily over 6'5" and really good shape. So after we got done, kind of sizing each other up and introduced ourselves, found out that Joe's into basketball just like me. So from there on out, we were thick as thieves.
So take us back to November of last year, just 2.5 months ago, so not that long ago, and share with us what you experienced that day.
Well, leading into it, Joe had given me a call out of the blue on a Friday, said, hey, why don't you and Alex come on up? We'll do a cookout, and then Joe and Joey, Alex and I are going to go play some basketball to get ready for the upcoming season and tryouts. So we played, had a great cookout, and played basketball hard for an hour. And after we got done, the boys went inside to relax, and Joe and I went out to the garage just to kind of rehash how the boys played and how we thought tryouts were going to be. And while we're doing this, I looked at Joe and said, I kind of feel, I didn't get the full sentence out. I collapsed. Joe caught me on the way down, and he thought I was having a seizure. And then things took another turn for the worse, and I stopped breathing. So this is where Joe's training and his bravery kicked in. He yelled to Joey to call 911, and something I really appreciate, he sent my son Alex down to the bottom of the driveway to wait for the ambulance just to get him out of the situation. So Joe proceeded with CPR and mouth to mouth, and the first person on the scene was his neighbor, who was a volunteer fireman, heard about it over the radio and continued CPR. And once EMS arrived, he handed me off to EMS, and it took twice to shock me to get my heart back going. But while this was happening, my son Alex was back up, and Joe grabbed his son Joey's hand and my son Alex's hand, and he channeled me. He started encouraging me to fight and to come back. And without that, I don't know if I'd be here speaking with you, like a true friend, a true teammate. And from there, the EMS took me to the hospital and went to intensive care, and I was put in a medically induced coma.
If anyone has ever experienced this and seen someone go down in cardiac arrest, it's an incredibly intense and emotional thing that everyone who's ever experienced that story, it's something that stays with you for the rest of your life. Tell us what happened next. What happened after that? So you're at the hospital in medically induced coma.
So ended up waking up the next morning. So this would have been a Sunday, and trying to figure out what's going on, and see my wife Dawn, and after I get a rundown of what happened the day before and how I ended up where I was, the first thing I wanted to do was call Joe. So give Joe a call, and obviously say thank you. But the next thing I'd of course be asking, because competitive, wanted to know how the old men did against the boys. So I guess from what I understand, we swept them, which is great.
Even better.
Yeah. But both boys ended up making the JV team.
Wow.
And last Friday, Joe, before the game, Joe was honored for his bravery in front of the whole school. It was a remarkable event.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, and I have to imagine an experience like this is life-changing. So, what would you share about how your outlook has changed since going through this experience?
Well, Michael, facing your own mortality really gives you a different perspective, and I've really come to appreciate my time with my family and friends, and also when I was little, I was taught that if you have a bright light, you shouldn't put it under a bushel basket. And one of the reasons I believe I was brought back is to be that bright light and to share my story. And why I really want to be on this call is to give the message that if you can prepare someone to do what Joe did for me, the ultimate, that's my goal. And this is why CPR matters to me.
Yeah. The American Heart Association trains millions of people in the life-saving technique of CPR each year, and yet so many lives are lost because no one performs CPR, no one intervenes in that moment. So the work you're doing is really incredible. John, how can the HA continue to be a part of your life moving forward?
Well, because of the HA, I mean, it gave me that chance, and that's why CPR is so important. It gave me a chance to be here, and I'm here because of the actions that Joe took, but also those who coached them and gave him the knowledge to do what he did. And events like the Heart Walk, help because it allows me to share my story, up close and personal, but also gives an event that people can participate in, and also as a platform to donate it.
Yeah. Well, John, it's a powerful story. Thank you for taking us back to that experience and sharing it. I hope and know that it will inspire others to get trained in CPR and make sure they'd be ready to respond. We all need a friend like Joe in our life. And so much to be thankful for. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Michael.
At the HA, we know how important CPR is. In fact, the HA has helped make CPR a requirement for high school graduation in nearly every state across the country, helping to train the next generation of lifesavers. I'm so proud of what this organization does, especially when it comes to CPR. We're in the home stretch now. Before we go, let's talk about how together we are going to get our teams moving for Heart Month, which is just around the corner. As you gear up for Heart Month, we have a new tool for you, a coach planner. This new tool is here to make sure you have resources at your fingertips and can plan your team's success. Your local HA staff will have this planner ready for you with all of the local details and information you need. They will walk you through it and are always there to help you along the way. In case you haven't heard, February is Heart Month, and February 4th, mark your calendars, February 4th is National Wear Red Day. It's time for all of us to reclaim our rhythm for our own physical and mental well-being. It's also the perfect time to recruit your team and energize them with the purpose of Heart Month. This is the time to get started and raise awareness. This is the perfect time to recruit your walkers and raise funds. As you heard from our coaches today, there is magic in sharing your story with others. As you recruit your team members or as you reach out for funds, they will be more likely to say yes. Once you're registered, share your story by personalizing your fundraising page, and then make sure your family, your friends, your neighbors, and your coworkers know how they can donate to support your efforts and join your team. Remember, recruit, recruit, recruit. Get all of your walkers on board by Wear Red Day. That's on February 4th. No matter when your walk is scheduled, proudly wear red together, announcing your participation. Your role as a coach is to recruit at least 10 fundraising walkers per team and to find at least one person who could be a top walker, raising over $1,000. As you heard from Sheila, many people you work with or your friends have been impacted by heart disease and stroke. And like so many of our coaches you heard from today, this could even be you. The HA mission is more relevant than ever, and next month is our month. Your support of the Heart Walk goes a long way in helping those touched by heart disease and stroke. From the bottom of our hearts, we are grateful for you walking alongside us to support the HA's work, helping everyone, everywhere, live longer, healthier lives. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting us, and thank you for sharing your story so others can be supported and inspired by your success. Together, we are the heart that keeps the AHA beating. Happy Heart Month, everyone. Thank you.